everybody. So it's day 5,782 in quarantine in the UK, and I thought I'd bring you something a little bit different today. We're in a slightly different view of the same room, but I'm going to take you on a bit of a DIY journey. So I've got a chair here, which I'll show you in just a second. And we're going to reupholster the cushion on it, and I'm just going to show you simply how I do it. It's really, really easy, and what you need to do that. So this is going to be the chair that we're reupholstering today, and this is the cushion cover that we're going to remove, this rather dated fabric, and you're going to find that this is actually just going to lift out directly underneath, so it's going to be really nice and easy to do. This isn't the first chair that I've ever done, so I have also done another, which is over here. Now this is a very different type of chair. This is a much more antique style, so it's actually got a fitted cushion on it rather than a pop out like the other one. Originally this actually looked like this one over here. This is my to be done chair. The reason I haven't got around to doing this one yet is it's a structural problem. The chair itself is very, very wobbly at the back, so it needs proper fixing, and there's no point in doing the reupholstery until I've done the fixing, because it will ruin the lovely reupholstered look. So this will be changed, and it will probably end up being flat colour. So yeah, let's get on with this one for now. So these are going to be the tools that we're going to need for our little job today. We've got a soft mallet there for just finishing things off. We've also got a pair of pliers there for easing the pins out that might get stuck. And we've got one of these handy things that's useful for getting underneath the little staples. These are our replacement ones, which we've got our staple gun here, pack of those in this one. What I will say about these is make sure that they are quite deep, especially if you're working with thicker upholstery fabric, because otherwise they're just not going to secure far enough in. So I would always go for these deeper ones. And we've got our fabric scissors here as well. So we're going to be cutting our fabric with those. So that's what you're going to need today, and most of this can be picked up pretty cheap. Most of this actually came from Wilko, apart from my fabric scissors. So yeah, pretty sort of cheap to get hold of, and all you need to do this rather simple job. Okay, so we're going to start removing these, and you may just be able to do it with your dandy doodad thing. You want to just get in there and prise them out. Now sometimes you can twist them around and pop the whole thing out in one go. Have a little tray just off there so you can collect them all up, because you really don't want to be standing on anything. Sometimes they can be a bit more stubborn, or if you can't twist them out, that's when you want to use your pliers and just give them a good eep, and out they come. Sometimes when they've gone directly or quite hard into the wood and you struggle to kind of get underneath them, what you may have to do is you can pop that just in there, and then you use your soft mallet and you just go right on the end, boop, 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 and again, just gives you a bit more purchase. So you may not need the mallet, depends how they've been put in previously, but you just want to work your way around, which I'm going to do now, and then we will see what's underneath it. So we'll come back in just a moment when I've done a bit more of this. So I've finished this one side, and I just wanted to remind everybody to make sure that you're going away from you. They're not particularly sharp, but if you get a bit of welly behind it, you could really catch yourself. So once you come to the end of the corner, rotate the whole thing round, and you're kind of good to go, and continue on with the next bit. You may find there's a couple in the corners. I don't know if you can see. There's put a few round the corners there as well, so you may find there's a few more extra staples in there, so just be mindful of that when you're pulling away the fabric. So we've removed all of our staples all the way around now, and we're going to do the big reveal, so move those out the way. It would be also worth noting that it's worth just looking at the way that the corners have been put together before you unfold it, so you can look at the neatest way of actually putting the new fabric in place, because obviously this has been shaped over time, so it's just useful to look at that. So what you want to remember is, especially on these little funny awkward corners, is you're going to be putting that corner in first and then going either side of it and folding it around. So then you get a really nice, neat corner on that one as well. So yeah, so it's just taking a moment to just look at those and the way that it's put together. I would say it's worth doing that whenever you're taking anything apart, especially if it is old. These obviously aren't old, and you can see it's been worked on pretty recently. So this is actually a really, really easy, quick job. So let's take it off and see the state of what's underneath. So a really lovely colour, but this is great because it's in really good condition. There's no signs of any moths or anything nasty on there, so that's really good. It's really, really good to see. And like I said, the bottom has actually been finished really nicely. This all feels really secure, so I'm not going to take this off. If something has been reupholstered recently and it's in good condition like this, there's no point in creating work for yourself. You may as well utilise what's already there. So I am going to leave that in place, and then I'm just going to fold the new fabric over. If this was damaged or deteriorating, again, you could go along here and unpick, but you would be it would be interesting to see what was underneath, because you can actually feel the frame of the chair on this one. The other one, I said, like I said before, I have a hardboard on the back of the other one, so it's a bit different. But again, this is all pretty easy to do. So if you wanted to then replace this, you could do just with, again, a piece of scrap upholstery if it's a nice sturdy one. But most of the actual sort of cushioning feels really good and secure inside. So I'm not going to give myself any more extra work to do. So I'm going to start positioning the fabrics, and then good to go. So now I've positioned my fabric and I've had a play around with it. So you can see I've got this really nice damask pattern. So I wanted to make the most of the feature. So I've laid it on. It's actually just tucked in. But it's important to have a play around and look at it on the chair as well. So look at where the little details sit, and then look at the fabric, and then just imagine how it's going to be so that you're happy with that. This is the perfect time to play around with it and make sure that you're happy. I don't worry too much about trimming it down at this stage. I'm going to try and pin it, staple it in place, and then trim kind of as I go. I think is probably the best way of doing it. I think otherwise there's a sense of trimming away too much where you might actually need the fabric. So I'm going to keep it as is. So I've actually put it on the floor now, so that I feel like I can wrestle it a little bit better, and also means that when I lean in with my staple gun, that I'm able to just put all the pressure onto the floor, and I'm actually just going to sit with this bit under my knees, so I'm nice and secure like that. Like I say, I know that this is the front bit that I'm going to work on, so I'm basically just going to put the first one in there. You can actually feel where the other ones are underneath, and you want to try and miss those. It's not too much of a big deal, but I would say to just be on the inside of them, I think, where I'm going to go. So we're going to try that now. Make sure you're all good to go. And see. Now what you might find, that's not actually gone all the way in, so that might need a little bit of hammering in. Just like that. Beautiful. So you don't have to do all of one side first. What you want to make sure that you're doing is pulling it tight all the way around and pulling it taut. So you're going to do the same for the other side. So that's now in place. Gosh, that is a bit of a messy one. I might try and position that slightly better, but like I say, this is the underside, so it doesn't really make a big difference. No one's going to see that. It's just my own messiness. So you're smoothing all that down. And then you're going to come around the other side and do the same here. So make sure you pull it nice and tight. And this is why we don't do the entire front side, because you can manipulate the fabric. And that's a nice thing to be able to do. And otherwise you get baggy bits when you actually put it down. So we're going to do the same again. Turn it round. Pull it tight. I'm going to try and put a bit more. That go in? A bit better. Still needs a bit of that. And actually what I might do is maybe I'll do those corners first, because then that helps just push that into place. So let's put that like that. So I'm going to do one here across the middle first, one here across the middle, to keep that in place. Pull that over. And again, just making sure that you're all good. Perfect. Actually, that went in really nicely, because what you want to do on the side then is we're going to put another one. When we trim this down, we're going to put another one in here on this side, and you want to make sure that that holds in a really good position. So let's just flip it over and have a little look. So again, we're pulling it tight across that corner, tucking it in as we go. Beautiful. And that bringing it tight round. This is what I mean about being able to manipulate the fabric. So I'm hoping you can see this a little bit better. So again, just reposition slightly. So fold all that over like that. Manipulate the fabric. This is doing the second corner. So tuck that in nicely. Turn him over. I'll try and do it so that you can see, but it's a bit difficult because I want to make sure he gets perfect as well. So pop that in there. Nice firm. Again, that's another good one. I'm just going to have a little tap in. Perfect. So, and then we're going to do the sides. So, again, you can see. So this is nice and taut in the middle. From there to there, that's lovely. Because what you will find with seats, especially dining ones where you use them a lot, is that the fabric itself will kind of stretch and give and soften. So you want to pull it as tight and as taut as you can. So that's why you want to be just manipulating it around a little bit, keeping it nice and flat. So I'm going to continue on with that, and then I'm going to catch up with you again in a little bit. I've finished this one side now. I've decided to do the front corners slightly differently because this is quite a thick fabric and it was bunching too much at the corners. So you can see I've put a sort of row of the staples in around this side, and I've put one on each corner facing sort of front really. So rather across the back, which I did here on the back ones, which have got the funny little bits. These ones I'm doing slightly differently because these are the ones that face at the front, so I want them to look really smart on the chair. So I think what I'm going to do, and you can see I've trimmed back some of the fabric. I will trim some more, but I just want to make sure I get it perfect. It's all that, you know, measure twice, cut once stuff. Make sure that you're good, but it's this corner here that I'm trying to make really, really neat. So what I want to do is then remove some more of this fabric to just thin that down just slightly. So I'm just going to sort of think about doing that and make sure that that's really nice and neat, but I think that needs a bit more. Oh no, that's probably pretty good. So you can see how much extra fabric there is that I'll need to trim away. You can't really see it that easily, sorry. Can you focus on that maybe? So, so the light's really funny in here because it keeps going sunny and then shadowy, but I thought this would be the best place to do it. But yeah, you can see there. So I'm going to need to trim away some more of this excess fabric and then continue going round. But it's looking really smart on the front, really nice pull tight. There's a couple of lines just where the fabric's been folded for a while, but they will fall out just because it's a nice flush kind of velvety vibe, but I think they're going to look really smart. I know lots of people are really into painting this darker wood at the moment in all kinds of colours, but I think it's so beautiful. I love keeping wood natural, especially this darker style wood. I think it's so beautiful with different colours as well. It really makes the colours pop. So I'm not going to be painting the chair. I know a lot of people would choose to do that, but I'm not. These are not particularly old, so they don't need any work done to them. They're in quite good nick. There's been a bit of a brush with them, but they were free, so, you know, happy days. So I've now finished fixing the fabrics down. I've done all the nice neat corners, managed to make the front ones look really neat as well, and I have trimmed it so it's all looking nice and neat. And now we're going to flip it back over and pop it back on the chair and see how it looks. So there it is, the finished article. Popped the seat back in and it looks really smart. So those are the corners that we're talking about, and I just think they look really, really nice. It looks lovely with that wood, really, really good. So yeah, really chuffed. I'm going to now work on the next one, so I'll have two matching. But yeah, all round a successful afternoon.